Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Andrew Burgess. Welcome to this talk, which is part of the STEMS Club Week 2023. Today I'm going to talk to you about AI and us, artificial intelligence and us, and how it affects us on our day-to-day lives and in business as well. First of all, I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about myself. So I'm a management consultant. I work in AI. I wrote a book recently called The Executive Guide to Artificial Intelligence, which was published a few years ago. I also do some lecturing at Loughborough University and as well at Imperial College in London, which is where I live. I also do work with the Natural History Museum, which is a fascinating client to have. As you can imagine, I'll talk a little bit more about that later on. Some of the clients that I work with, some of you may have heard of, so quite a few charities like Macmillan Cancer Support, Parkinson's UK and Prostate Cancer UK, and also some other businesses such as Direct Line and Compare the Market, who you may know from the Meerkat adverts that you see on TV all day. So that's a little bit about me. I thought I'd tell you one of the best things I think about my job before I kind of move into talk about artificial intelligence. My background, I did maths, physics and chemistry at A-levels. I did a degree in aeronautical engineering at Manchester University and was a management consultant most of my career, but more recently in the last 10 years or so I've been focusing on technology and particularly artificial intelligence. So a lot of the work I do, as I said, is helping companies to use artificial intelligence to the best abilities and to help manage some of the risks as well around AI. So some of the best things about that job, I think, are getting to work with some really interesting people, work with some important people, some cool people, some very, very clever people as well. All of them interesting, all with great stories, and I get to find out all about the work that they do and help them to use AI to help them do their jobs better. And I also get to work with some of the coolest technologies as well. So AI is really the one of the hottest topics at the moment in technology and generally in the world at the moment. Is making news headlines recently with all the talk about ChatGPT and Bard and Bing, etc. So I get to work in these kind of leading edge technologies, which I really love, and they're always changing. So I'm a very curious person. So as things change, it's just more and more stuff to learn, which is great. But I think the most important thing about doing this work with AI is I get to help people. So one of the things I'll talk about later is how we can use AI, but also some of the risks about AI. But a lot of the work I do is focusing on the good things that AI can do. So I talked about some of the charities that I do work with as well. So helping use AI to do good in the world, I think, is really, really important. And that's probably the most satisfying thing about my job, and how I use these STEM skills that I've developed over the years. So the first question I have for you is, have you used AI today? Do you know when you're using AI? Have a little think about whether you've used it on your computer or any other places, even just, coming into school, at home. Have you used AI today? Let me give you some clues, some ideas about where you may have used AI. So if you have one of these smart assistants at home like Alexa, every time you ask Alexa for something, for the time or what the weather's going to be like, etc., that's using AI because it's translating your voice into some commands that the actual computer that's in the machine can understand. So that's using AI. If you check the weather as well, either on your phone or on the TV, etc., AI is fundamental in predicting weather. People use the weather people use supercomputers and lots of AI to predict the weather that's going to happen, tomorrow or in the next few weeks. So have you paid for anything today using your phone through Apple Pay or Google Pay or anything? Every time you're using that, you're using AI because it's doing the recognition of your face to authenticate that payment. Again, that's using image recognition, using AI to recognize your face and validate that it's you that's making the payment. Perhaps you've used email, Gmail, or any of the other providers. So a lot of cases now, Gmail will be predicting what you're going to be writing and help you finish the sentences or finish the words. Again, that's using AI to predict the patterns and the words that you're writing as well. And then basically, anytime you're using your smartphone at the moment, you're going to be using AI. Even taking a photograph, the camera uses AI to make sure that the picture is in focus, that it's reducing the shake of the camera, etc. Most of the applications on your smartphone will be using AI in some respects. So AI is everywhere. We're using on a day-to-day basis, even an hour-to-hour basis. A lot of the things we do have AI in it somewhere. So it's really important to understand how it's being used and how it impacts and changes your behaviors and the things that you do so that you can better control and understand the technology. So what I want to do is dive into a few examples and better explain how AI is being used in those so you can actually get that better understanding. So I'm sure many of you bought stuff on Amazon or any of the shopping websites, and you'll have noticed that they start to recommend stuff to you. And you can see here it's recommending different books, including my book, because this person has bought books that are similar to that. But how do they know that? So what's happening is it's taking the buying patterns and the behaviors of lots of other people that have bought similar books before and matching you against your own buying behaviors and the stuff that you've been buying. So it's kind of clustering you into certain groups of people to give you that those recommendations of each of the books. So every time you use your phone with Siri or Cortana or any of those other services, even like Alexa, what the AI is doing is taking the words that you're saying, matching that against words that it knows, and changing those into essentially words or code that the computer can understand, the computer that's in your phone, and it changes that into commands that it does whatever you've asked it to do. And it does that because it's been trained on lots of words. So it's listened to many people speaking. People have labeled those words, and through those patterns of the sound files, it's matching those labeled words against those sound files. And then, as I say, turns that into computer code. When you use your phone with social media, with Instagram, Facebook, etc., TikTok, and particularly TikTok, there's some very clever algorithms that actually work out what you like to look at. So it looks at the speed you're scrolling, the posts you look at, the videos you look at, the ads you click on, etc., to build a picture of what you like looking at. So that can be a really good thing, but also can be a really bad thing as well, because it's great that it shows you stuff that it knows you like, and you're seeing stuff that you enjoy looking at. But also, it's really restricting some of the new stuff that you might find interesting that you're just not seeing because it's not part of the stuff that you're already looking at. And this is what we call the echo chamber. So you're kind of sitting in this echo chamber only listening to the stuff that you actually enjoy listening to, and you're not bringing in new ideas, innovations, etc., that might be interesting to you. So it's really important when you're thinking about looking through your social media feeds, are there other views that I actually might want to look at? And particularly when you think about some of the political views as well that we see through social media, this can be really important. So you're not just listening to the same thing again and again. Try and expand your mind and look outside of what the algorithm's telling you. AI can play computer games as well, and this is one of the first ones that was developed. It's a computer game, an AI playing Space Invaders, developed by DeepMind. And this is a really interesting way to show how AI learns, because what they didn't do was program the computer to actually play the game and shoot the aliens like that. What they did, they gave it an objective, and they said, score as many points as you can, that number at the top in the green, whatever way you can. So at the very beginning, the AI is rubbish at playing the game. It just it gets shot all the time. Maybe then it learns that if it hides under the barriers, it doesn't get shot, but it's still not scoring any points. But actually then if it moves outside the barriers, shoots on the aliens, then it starts to score points. So it's actually achieving its objective. And the more aliens it shoots, the closer it gets to its objective. And sometimes it can work out that if I shoot the big red guy that comes across at the top, then I score even more points. So by this trial and error approach, what we call reinforcement learning in computer speak, it learns how to play Space Invaders by itself. And this is why we call it machine learning, because it's actually the machine that's learning how to play the game rather than people programming it to play the game. And here's another example of another game which you recognize as Mario. And the red lines that you can see in front of Mario here are the AI predicting the best moves for Mario to make. And you can see sometimes it splits into a number of different lines, and those are the different options that the AI is assessing for each particular move. And it's looking at quite a few moves ahead, so it can understand the best move to make then, and it kind of uses the algorithm to give it the best move that will take it to the to actually score more points at the end. So I want to play a recording of a query that I did with ChatGPT recently, just to show you some of the benefits of this. So I thought, actually, here's a good example of where we can get computers to do our job. So, I could have just got GPT-4 to come in and actually write this presentation for me. So I've asked it, what are the advantages of a STEM career? So let's see what it says. So I hope you can read that, but it's saying STEM careers offer several key advantages, including high demand. So there's lots of big demand for people with STEM qualifications. There's high salary potential, which I'm sure you're all very pleased with. So lots of opportunities to earn money. There's good job security as well, because STEM professions are so integral to our modern economy and infrastructure. Innovation and creativity offers opportunities to be at the forefront of innovation. It presents a variety of career options. The STEM field is vast and varied, providing a wide range of career paths. And you can contribute to society. So this goes back to what I was saying at the beginning. Many STEM careers involve work that contributes directly to societal progress, development of new technologies, medical advances, addressing climate change, etc. And then continuous learning, and this is one of the bits I love as well, because things never stay the same. So I'm continually learning about different things. And there's also global opportunities as well. So the STEM skills are in demand globally, so there's plenty of opportunities to travel. So one, that's really interesting about STEM careers, and I hope that you found that bit helpful. But also that whole passage was created by ChatGPT. Just very, very quickly, as I typed it in, it was coming up with the answer straight away, and it makes a lot of sense. It's well written and makes all the right points on that. And this is kind of the cutting edge of AI at the moment. And if you haven't tried that, I recommend that you give ChatGPT and some of the other large language models a go, just to see what they're capable of. One of the risks, of course, with these models is that you can actually cheat with things as well, and that's definitely not what I'm suggesting here. Use them very, very carefully. Don't just take what they say and copy and paste that into your essays. Understand what it's saying, take the best bits, and then transform that using your own knowledge and experience into something that's innovative and creative and novel that you can write and contribute to. Another form of generative AI, just like ChatGPT, but with images, there's a few models around. I use one called Midjourney, there's others called DALL-E, etc. Just as an example, I asked it to create an image of a 20-meter tall sea monster striding down the River Thames, viewed from a high vantage point. So let's see what the picture came up with. So that looks pretty good, doesn't it? And you can. This is great because you can invent anything using the images. Sea monsters are definitely not going to come down the Thames anytime soon, but you can picture that really, really easily. And these are great tools for people to develop their skills, bring ideas, use it in their work and their creative activities as well. AI can also be used in business. I mentioned at the beginning some of the clients that I work with. So one of those is Compare the Market, and you may recognize the meerkat here from the adverts. Compare the Market are using AI to help them recommend people products to different people, based, again, a bit like Amazon were doing, based on the behaviors, based on what you're clicking on. It understands more about you and then is able to recommend products that are more aligned with what you want. So that's the sort of thing that Compare the Market are doing. You also see that in products like Netflix as well. So watching one film, it'll recommend other films to you. It's doing exactly the same thing as these models are here. Another thing is that AI can be used for is in retail, so in shopping, working out the best price to sell something at, working out the best place to sell something at, how to move stock around, what's the stock that's going to sell the best, etc. AI can be used in what's called logistics to a huge extent to help people, retailers, make more sales on their products and services. And then I mentioned at the beginning I do some work with a natural history museum, so if you've never been, I highly recommend you go. But this is what we've been doing with the museum. It sounds a bit strange, but we've been trying to predict the number of pests in the museum. And pests, things like beetles and moths, etc., are a real threat to the museum's collection, because in some cases they can eat the collection. If you imagine a case full of butterflies, if a beetle gets into that case, it can actually eat the complete case of butterflies and turning it into dust. So if we can predict where those pests are going to be, then we can take proactive action by laying traps, etc., and stop those things happening. And because the museum collects a lot of data on the particular pests that they have, we're able to predict a predictive model to do that, which is actually really helpful to the museum. Other things that AI can do which are really useful is predicting flood risk. And we've seen that quite a lot recently. One of the outcomes of climate change at the moment, we've seen more floods. And using AI to predict where those floods are going to be and when they're going to be as well can actually save lives. So really, really useful application for AI. And also in the world of medicine, and I've got another talk that I'm doing this week as well on AI and health, and I'll talk a little bit more about this in that as well, so I recommend you watch that one. But this strange looking thing you can see rotating here is actually a protein, or a representation of a protein. And proteins are the building blocks of life. We all have them in our bodies, and particularly the way that proteins fold gives them different characteristics. So being able to predict how they fold allows us then to manipulate and develop new drugs to combat disease. And what DeepMind have done with an application called AlphaFold is to be able to predict how most proteins will fold, and scientists are now using this information to create new drugs and starting to save lives. So that's a massive computational effort to be able to do this, but they've actually cracked this problem. And this is a huge breakthrough in medical science that AI has enabled. But also as well, I talked a little bit about some of the risks of AI, and if you know Spider-Man's Uncle Ben, very famous in saying with great power comes great responsibility, and AI has lots of power, which means we also have to have lots of responsibility in how we use it. Here's a good example of that. So these faces that you can see here are not real. None of these people exist. All of these faces have been created by AI. So you can imagine how people can use these images maliciously, badly, to fool people. You might see that on social media feeds. You might be a man who's pretending to be a girl, other approaches as well. So you've got to be really careful about trusting some of the things you're now seeing on your social media feeds, on the internet, etc., because these things may be fake. They may be created by AI. So here's another example of how AI has been used to manipulate people's views. This is in the news recently. This selfie was taken by Indian wrestlers, female Indian wrestlers, just after they'd been to a protest because they were protesting about harassment, and they'd been arrested. So this is them on the coach just after they'd been arrested. You can see they were clearly not happy about that. But what happened was an Indian MP took this picture, manipulated it like this, and gave them smiles, and tweeted this picture saying that the Indian wrestlers actually weren't bothered about the protest. Look how unserious they are about everything. And the picture went viral. Luckily, people noticed this and found that the picture had been manipulated. But this is the danger that we have with AI, and how we have to be really, really careful at the moment about how we view images and videos and text that could potentially be made by AI. So let's have a little think about the future as well. You're all looking at STEM careers, thinking about where the AI is something that you'd like to go into, or how it might affect your jobs in the future. So let's think about how will AI change the world of work. I think what you need to do is think about answering 3 different questions. The first one is, can AI do this job? So is it possible that the job that I will be doing will be replaced at some point by AI? And some things like if you're in marketing, you might be planning a marketing campaign. Some of these things now can be done by AI. So using things like Google Ads, they have very powerful algorithms to actually plan exactly how to do a marketing campaign. So some of those jobs can be effectively automated. Other more simple ones, like taxi drivers, very soon we'll have autonomous vehicles, self-driving vehicles that won't need drivers at all. And there's already trials in America where cabs are going around without drivers at all. So I don't know whether anyone's thinking of becoming a taxi driver or not, but these are the sorts of jobs that could become non-existent in the future due to AI. Even jobs like lawyers as well. If you think about ChatGPT, asking it some very legal questions, it can come up with some very good answers. There'll still be some need for lawyers, but actually a lot of the work that they do can probably be automated using those sorts of technologies. The second question you need to ask yourself is, can AI help me do this job? So you might have a job and you think, actually, I could do my job better if I was using AI. So it's going to augment your capabilities. Here's an example. This is using that image recognition AI software. This is, if you think you're a designer, a graphic designer, and your client has asked you to create a design for an avocado style chair, then very quickly you can get a number of different ideas just by putting it into the AI and coming up with these designs. And you can see some of these aren't particularly useful, but some of them are actually pretty good. So if the client wanted a chair that looks a bit like an avocado, then you've immediately accelerated the process and saved yourself a lot of time. Third question then, and this is probably more relevant to the people thinking about STEM careers, is, can I build AI to do this job? So actually being the creator. And what that means is you have to learn skills like Python, coding language, or it might be R as well, is another popular language as well. I would also recommend looking at some of the courses you can go on as well if you're thinking about actually building some of this AI. So there's companies like Coursera. You may have to subscribe to some of these, or Udemy is another one that's quite popular. But there are lots of things on YouTube as well which are free, where you can actually do a lot of learning about how to code and how to build AI, and actually using the data sets. Actually getting data is one of the bigger challenges if you're actually learning to use use AI as well. So one of the places I'd recommend you go to is called Kaggle, which is a website which has lots of competitions around AI and data science. But it also has lots of data sets as well, so you can download the data sets and practice yourself at building, for example, models to predict things as well. And then finally, how you actually do this. Jupyter Notebooks is a a platform where you can go in and you can actually build the code. So you can actually write the code in Jupyter Notebook, so using your Python code. But it's very good because it helps you annotate and explain clearly what you're doing, so you can share your notebooks with other people and learn from them as well. And that's a free resource as well. So I'd recommend you have a look at those as well. And then I think read a lot as well. There's lots happening at the moment, particularly, so a lot of this is making the news, but read newsletters, etc. I've got my own newsletter called That Space Cadet Glow, which you can get from this link here, which has stuff about AI on kind of a monthly basis as well. So I hope that's been really interesting for you. Thank you very much for watching. You can take part in other related activities or download suggested resources suitable for STEM clubs at home or outside or in the classroom using the links that are on the screen now. But thank you very much for listening, and I hope to help you more on your STEM careers very soon. Thank you.